It once happened, Shankaran Pillai was at the family dinner and when everybody settled down for dinner, he stood up at the table and announced, "I am going to marry Lucy, who's just across the street." I hope that's not the name. Oh. Then the father said, "What? You're going to marry Lucy? She has nothing, she's like a tramp. You're going to marry that Lucy?" Mother said, "What? You're going to marry that Lucy?" The uncles always pitch in these kind of matters, you know. Uncle said, "What? You're going to marry that Lucy? Have you seen her hair? It looks fake." The aunt, "What? You're going to marry Lucy? She's always painted. You're going to marry that painted woman?" The little boy, the nephew, can't be left out. He said, "You're going to marry Lucy, she doesn't even know what is cricket. How can you marry her?" Shankaran Pillai stood his ground and said, "Yes, I'm going to marry Lucy." Everybody asked in one voice, "Why?" He said, "Because she has no family." There are no many opinions to battle with. So, who is the right person? I don't want to take away all the romance from your life. But let me tell you this, there is no right person on this planet. If you get into that kind of unrealistic mindset, "I have found the right person," oh, you will be soon disappointed. You must understand, there is no right person. First thing is to see whether I am the right person. Yes, am I the right person? And there are no right people on this planet. If you understand, you have your nonsense, they have their nonsense, we can adjust nonsense. Go on. First and foremost thing is, you bring yourself to your place where your experience of life is just pleasant by yourself. You're wonderful. Now, let us see what gets drawn to this one. If you're really wonderful, things will happen in every way, I'm saying. And this whole thing is an American thing, that there is a soulmate somewhere. God made just one more person just for you. But these days, every 2 years, he keeps making one more person just for you. Obviously, God is making too many mistakes with you. See, body needs a mate, understandable. Maybe psychologically also you need a mate, understandable. Emotionally you need a mate. A soul cannot need a mate. So soul doesn't need a mate, nor was some person made perfectly for you, okay? If you invest a deep sense of involvement, something wonderful may happen. It's because of your involvement, not because the other person is fantastic. No. Even if you choose a fool, actually it's easy that way. If they're not stupid, why would they come to you first of all? No, I'm just being nasty. So, even if you choose a fool, it doesn't matter. If you involve yourself, it can turn out very beautiful. You chose the smartest person in the universe, it could be a disaster. So, do not think in terms of, whatever this made for each other nonsense. No, you choose the opposite actually. But after some time, after a little bit of time, you slowly start expecting they're just like you. This is a serious mistake. Because if one more person becomes just like you won't be able to bear with them for 2 days. Nobody is like you, and that's good. Don't look for sameness, not necessary. Because of the difference you tango, not otherwise.
Our mothers have set amazing benchmark.
The moment you say mothers, they're giving a sound ambience of babies crying.
Oh, okay.
Perfect.
That's the halo effect, I think. Yeah, so they've set quite a big benchmark of being an ideal wife. However, I, or girls of my generation, feel that we cannot be as good as wife our mothers have been. So should I feel that I am falling short in my personal life, or should I feel that I'm not giving enough justice to my marriage once I'm married? How should I feel about this?
You know, our center in the United States is in Tennessee. Tennessee is a little one kind of state, okay. Mary Makowski, that's not Romanian, right? No. Mary Makowski got married. And after their honeymoon, they came home and she threatened him that she's going to make a dinner all by herself. I'm sorry, she said she'll make dinner for the new husband. And husband came home from work and she served the dinner and he put it in his mouth and slowly he was chewing on it and went into profound thought. Then she was very excited about this dinner and she said, there are only two things my mother taught me how to cook, the meatloaf and the apple pie. Then he looked at her and said, darling, which one is this? So, your mother, your grandmother, how they made good wives? Largely it was believed the way to a man's heart is through his stomach. Today your husband will call Uber Eats and whatever, Quick Picks and this and that and Swiggies and whatever, all right? So, you can't make a good wife based on how your grandmother became a good wife. You can't become a good wife based on how your mother became a good wife. Situations have changed, expectations have changed. It's not in the stomach anymore. For some it's gone up into the head, for some it's gone further south. Yes? So, you don't do that. Essentially, what a husband and wife means is, because you're not geared, most people are not geared, very few people in this world are geared to make this journey of life all by themselves. They're organized enough within themselves totally. They never feel anything missing in their life because they've made themselves like that. But most people need somebody else to lean on. Either emotionally, psychologically, there are needs in a human being, physical needs, psychological needs, emotional needs, maybe social needs, economic needs, variety of needs. To fulfill these needs, you want to find one person that you can depend on. Because it's very difficult even to find one person with whom you can share everything that you have, your body, mind, emotion and works. So this is the idea. Formalizing it is so that every time you get some little friction, you don't fall apart, so little tying up so that things don't fall apart very easily, all right? Nothing else. The biggest mistake humanity made was, they started saying marriages are made in heaven, that's why it's such a mess. No, it's done here. If you see, marriages are made between us and we took responsibility for who we are, we could have made it work, but the damn thing is made in heaven. Not suitable here, it's because it's alien stuff. Everything is a mess because you think it's made elsewhere by somebody else. If you understand it's made by you for your well-being, to fulfill your needs and your purposes so that you can go through this journey of life with least amount of trouble and friction, then you would handle it more responsibly, isn't it? And according to contemporary needs, not how your grandmother did her marriage. You can't do it that way because expectations and situations have completely altered themselves. So, if you hold somebody who is your friend and who is your need, you must understand. You're in this relationship because you need. Maybe the other person also needs, but that's from their side. As far as you are concerned, you made this relationship because you need it badly, isn't it? If you understand and you're always grateful for this, that somebody is fulfilling all your need, you would handle it well. You wouldn't make a misery out of it. But now you think somebody else needs you, then you will make a mess out of it. You understand you need it, well, the other person also needs to understand he needs it. Now there is a cohesion. If you think, oh, you need me, so I'm going to exploit you, no. This is not about you squeezing happiness out of somebody or they squeezing happiness out of you. If two happy people meet, then there can be something wonderful happening between them. But you are a misery and you think somebody else should be the source of your happiness, well, it'll multiply.
In this materialistic age, the real feeling of love is disappearing from our life. Most of the love we receive from others and express to others is superficial. How can we reinforce the real feeling of love in our own life and in others?
Forget about others. If you learn to be loving by your own nature, not because of somebody else or something else. I know the question is coming from Facebook, there's an enormous possibility. You can even love those people who don't even exist. So I'm saying it's a tremendous possibility. So, if you just become love, not love somebody, then you will know the nature of love. If you love somebody, it's a fickle happening, because no human being will happen 100% the way you want them. Every human being on this planet is going to disappoint you, believe me. Not because they'll do something wrong, because nobody can fulfill the unrealistic expectation you have of them. It's simply not possible. Have you been able to fulfill anybody's expectation, I'm asking you, entirely? Partially, but never entirely, isn't it? Believe me, whoever comes, I want you to know, the ideal people whom you worship, when Krishna was there, his wives complained, all right? Love is not a relationship. A relationship is a different thing. Love is a certain sweetness of your emotion. Whether you look at a tree or a dog or a man or a woman or a child or just at the sky, why can't you look at it lovingly? Because it's not about loving the sky, it's about the sweetness of your emotion. If your emotions are sweet, whatever you look at it in a certain way. Right now you have nasty emotions, whatever you look at it in a different way. So you have always associated love with somebody. No, this is not about somebody. Love is not something that you do, it is something that you can become. If you're willing, you can become love, you can make your emotion into a very sweet space. If you make your body very pleasant, it becomes pleasure. If you sit here, it can be great pleasure just sitting here and breathing. If your mind becomes pleasant, we say this is joy. If your emotions become pleasant, we say this is love. If your very life energies become pleasant, we say this is blissfulness, this is ecstasy. If your surroundings become pleasant, we call that success. Now you're calling your success with somebody as love, that's a mistake. You have a success story with somebody, you're calling that love. No, that is actually success, because that needs lots of management. But for you to be loving, there is no management. If you just make your emotions sweet, your emotions are sweet and it's beautiful, be like this. It's not about anybody. If somebody comes, we can share it. If nobody comes, you can sit here with your eyes closed and still be loving, what's the problem? It is not about somebody, it's not an action, it is not something that you do, it is something that you can become. Love has become a relevant thing in human life only because human emotion is a strong aspect of being human being. In human life, emotion is a very powerful thing. Even in this day and age, though people think they're very intellectual, even today, their emotions are the strongest aspect. Yes or no? It's the most intense aspect of their life. They claim they're intellectual, but their intellect is never so intense, but their emotions are intense. Maybe not love, maybe not compassion, but maybe anger, maybe irritation. These are all emotions. So emotion is a very important aspect of being human. Now we're only talking about what type of emotion do you want to have? Now do you have a mind? Do you have a mind? Yes. Would you want it to be sharp or dull? Huh? Why? It works better that way, isn't it? Similarly, if you have emotions, do you want to have sweet emotions or bitter emotions? Sweet emotions, it works better that way, isn't it? So love means just that. You have transformed your emotions into sweetness. Now I want to be in love without emotion. That's a very European idea. Love is an emotion. It is the sweetness of your emotion which we are referring to as love. If the same emotion becomes bitter, we call it hate. Usually it is the people whom you love that you hate, isn't it? Some time ago you loved them, now you hate them. You don't hate that man who's just walking on the street, isn't it? Some love should have happened and now the coin fell another way and now it's become hate. Yes? So it's just the same coin. If it falls this way, it becomes love, if it falls that way, it becomes hatred. Don't think they're too far away. They're pretty close. One little thing goes wrong, love becomes hate, isn't it? So, how to be in love without emotion? Love is an emotion. Now the choice is only, do you want your emotions to be sweet, pleasant or unpleasant emotions? That's your choice. It's an obvious choice, isn't it? But most people are keeping their emotions bitter most of the time. Bitterness need not necessarily mean they're in active hatred. They're in irritation, they're in agitation. They're in some kind of… fear is also an emotion, anxiety is an emotion. It is in some level of unpleasantness. If you make your emotions very pleasant, then life will be very pleasant. Even today, most people experience as a moment of love, as the most profound experience of their life. It is not. But they experience it that way because that is the most intense thing they have touched. What that is the deepest dimension of life they have touched is a moment of love. So they raise it to heaven. People are transporting it to heaven. People are talking about divine love. You do not know whether God loves or not. Human beings are capable of love if they're willing. Dog is capable of love. When human beings fail you, you get yourself a dog. If you get a dog, 12-year guaranteed love affair. Yes? Do not underestimate this. You get yourself a dog, every day you come home, what a welcome you get. Your wife, she's no good. One day she's one way, your children, they're not interested whether you come home or go. But your dog, every day, what an excited welcome he gives you. Nobody's capable of this, isn't it? Every day, without fail, he'll never show disinterest in you. He's such a boost for you. Dog is love, for sure. Maybe it's just a spelling mistake. You know, typos can happen. Now, if you made yourself in such a way, nobody around you can love you, then the only succor you have is somebody must love you long distance from there. It's an unfortunate way to live. God loves you, it's the most unfortunate way to live. That means You made yourself in such a way nobody can even look at you. If people around you cannot help loving you, that's a nice way to be, isn't it? You may not be great, maybe at least you're cute. Yes? So, in yoga, we don't look at anything as love, hate, happiness, misery, we don't look at it that way. We just look at it this way. Do you want to be pleasant or unpleasant? If you become pleasant in your body, we call it health. If you become very pleasant, we call it pleasure. If your mind becomes pleasant, we call it peace. If it becomes very pleasant, we call it joy. If your emotions become pleasant, we call it love. If it becomes very pleasant, we call it compassion. If your very life energies become pleasant, we call this bliss. If it becomes very pleasant, we call it ecstasy. If your surroundings become pleasant, we call it success. So, the other names that you give are just leading to confusion. Should I be loving? You don't have to be loving. Just be pleasant in your body, pleasant in your mind, pleasant in your emotions, pleasant in your energies. You will be a wonderful being. If your emotions are pleasant, if somebody comes here, you can share that pleasantness with them. If your emotions are unpleasant, for sure you share that with people, isn't it? Yes or no? So you cannot do something that you're not. If this is feeling pleasant now, it will naturally be pleasant to everything. If this is feeling unpleasant right now, it will be nasty to everything. So instead of seeing how to make this pleasant, you want to be pleasant to somebody. That is being loving. You don't have to be loving. If everything within you has become pleasant, whatever is needed in that moment, you will do. If you need to say pleasant things, you will say that. If you need to say some hard things, you will say that. But without any unpleasantness in you, that's important, isn't it? If you'll have to fight a war, you'll fight it without any unpleasantness in you, that's important. Then you will do everything only to the extent it's necessary. You will not overdo anything. If you say, I love somebody, you will exaggerate things about the people whom you love. You will exaggerate good things about them. If you say, I hate somebody, you will exaggerate bad things about them. You will never see anything the way it is. People go blind with things that they love, isn't it? They have no sense, they lose all their sense. If they hate also, they'll lose sense. If you like, you will lose sense. If you dislike, you will lose sense. The doorway of life is in being equanimous, that you're able to see everything just the way it is. Now you are pleasant to somebody not because somebody is nice. You're pleasant to somebody because you are pleasant, that's all. This is more guaranteed. It's a more guaranteed love affair, isn't it? You're being pleasant to somebody because you're pleasant. If I'm being pleasant to you because you are nice, tomorrow if you're not so nice, something else will happen, isn't it? If you mortgage your pleasantness to something outside of you, you being pleasant or unpleasant is only by chance. Keeping this one pleasant is your business. If this one is pleasant, with whatever it interacts, it will generate pleasantness. Now you have not managed to make this pleasant, you're trying to be pleasant to somebody. And that is subject to so many things. If you have to be pleasant, they have to be fixed the way you want them. And that's not possible. Nobody can be fixed the way you want them. You're not able to do that even with one person, isn't it? You cannot even fix one person the way you want them, forget about the whole world. The more you try this, the more bitterness and unpleasantness will happen. That is why in the so-called most intimate relationships, maximum amount of unpleasantness happens. So this is because you're trying to do something that you're not. You're trying to be loving when you're not pleasant. When you're feeling bitter, you try to be loving and see it'll destroy you, isn't it? Yes or no? You tried all these things, isn't it? It's destructive. When you're feeling pleasant, it is effortless. So, you just have to look at why is it you being pleasant or unpleasant is mortgaged to external situations. If everybody around me is unpleasant, how can I be pleasant? Especially if everybody around you is unpleasant, it's all the more important that you're pleasant, isn't it? Yes or no? If everybody around you is in a mess, is it not all the more important that you're pleasant? If everybody around you is unhealthy, is it not very important at least you're healthy, even if you want to take care of them? Is there any logic to everybody is unhealthy, so let me also get sick? What is the logic behind this? So if people around you are unpleasant, it becomes even more important that you're pleasant.
Take a deep breath and allow yourself a moment of quiet reflection as we went down from this exploration of love and relationships. Today, we have journeyed together through some truly thought-provoking insights shared by Sadhguru on the nature of true love. Insights that reach far beyond the usual conversation about Valentine's Day. Imagine love not just as an emotion but as a powerful force that shapes our life in countless ways. In this session, we heard Sadhguru answer some of the most popular questions of love and relationship asked by students and seekers alike. He illuminated the profound significance of love, revealing that there isn't just one kind of guaranteed love affair, but actually two distinct forms that can guide us towards a richer experience of connection and fulfillment. Think of this insight as a gentle reminder that love in its many forms can be both transformative and sustaining. As you continue your journey, take these ideas with you and let them inspire you to embrace love in its true essence, without expectation, without need to constant validation, and without being swayed by conventional narrative. Every moment you spend in sincere reflection and genuine connection is a step towards a life filled with deeper joy and understanding. Allow yourself to slow down, to cherish the simple yet powerful truths about love that we have uncovered today. Whether you are in a relationship, seeking one, or simply nurturing a love for life itself, know that the wisdom shared here is a call to live with authenticity and openness. This is not a summary of Sadhguru's word, it is simply my interpretation of the deep wisdom he imparted. Kindly keep them separated and do not misunderstand. Thank you for joining, and we will see you tomorrow. Until then, please take care. Namaskaram.
चंद्रचूड़ शिव शंकर पार्वती रमणा निनगे नमो नमो।